Now we're going to start talking about the different transformations. One type of transformation we have is a vertical shift. And that's when we say we're going to have some function, say g of x, and it's equal to some function plus a constant. Now, if that constant is greater than 0, it's going to shift up. And if the constant is less than 0, it's going to shift down. That's one way we could write it. So we often talk about functions shifting up or shifting down. And what we're doing is we're just taking our graph and we're moving all of those outputs up or down by the c amount. So here's an example. I wanted to pick some examples that maybe weren't the basic function so you could see how it works with those. And then I have another example with a basic function as well. But we're saying this right now, it's going to move around on me, is f of x. So this is our function of f of x. Now what we're going to graph, I'm going to put it in blue, is g of x. So we're going to take each of our outputs from f of x, and we're going to move them up 3. So I'll start on the left. We're going to take that end point and move it up 3. And then we're going to take that peak, that mountain peak, I guess, and move it up 3. And then we know that the points in between are following along because that whole graph is just moving up 3 units. So I'm picking these points where it's changing from increasing to decreasing or decreasing to increasing. And then I have to try to draw the graph to go with it. So I'll go down to that valley at, where x is 0, and I'll move it up 3. So it'll go right there. And then those points are going to go this way. And it might not look perfect, but, you know, that's okay. Hopefully, I'm moving them all up 3. My graph's a little small. Okay, and then I kind of have to guess in here. It looks like there's a point at 3, 0. So I'm going to move that up to 3, 3, which would be right there. And then I think I'll go ahead and do that end one, move the last point up there. Now, the domain here is not all real numbers. So it's only going from, it looks like about, like if I were to write the domain, talk about this for a minute, it looks like it's going from -7 to 6. That's what it looks like the domain is here, okay? Now I gotta try to curve this a little bit. So kind of like that. That's the approach that we're taking with these transformations, but each of those points then moving up 3, okay? So then this would be a graph of g of x. You could make a table of values and look at it that way. Now, one question we could ask though is, how many points are there on this graph? And it's infinite, right? There's an infinite number of points. There's an infinite number of x values between -7 and 6. So sometimes students get confused on that and they're thinking, oh, it's just a finite graph, finite number of ordered pairs. But no, it's actually infinite, okay? We could talk about the range as well. The domain would be the same for both f of x. So we'll take a little time here. F of x, the domain, well, let me change colors here so it matches. Sorry about this. Okay, so let's talk about f of x. That's the one that I've graphed in black. The domain, -7 to 6, we said. And the range looks like it's going from -3 up to, let's see, 1, 2, 6. That's what it looks like there to me. So range bottom to top. Now, if I look at the g of x, then notice the domain's staying the same. We're not having a change there, -7 to 6, but the range now has changed, and it's going from 0 up to 9. So that might just help you review a little bit on domain and range. So here we go. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so here we have one of our basic functions, a parabola, and it looks like we're taking that. So this is our f of x here, and then we're going to be graphing g of x by shifting them down 2. So all of those points that we had, we're just shifting down 2 units. And sometimes it's a little hard to draw this. The symmetry helps. Oh, man. Try to draw a little bit, not my best parabola. Okay, but all those points were just shifting down 2 units. And you can talk about the domain and range for both as well. And then this would be g of x. Okay.